Hi everyone, it's 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗖𝗪 here. I am a yoga teacher, a quantum health coach, and a stage 3 bowel cancer survivor. In 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 3 bowel cancer, and as a result of that, I changed all my physical and emotional habits. I was able to create a new body, mind, and soul, and I feel the healthiest and happiest I've ever been. And since then, I've been helping entrepreneurs to change their physical and emotional habits so they can create the life that they want. I believe we are what we do each day. And today I'm going to be talking about something that most people struggle with, which is to keep consistent, to stop the procrastination, to change our habits for good. This is not a diet plan. I don't believe in diets. I believe in making changes that are long lasting. So let's talk about eating habits, right? So for instance, many people struggle to changing their diet, their eating habits, I like to call better, because they try something and for a week, a very strict plan, and they go back to their old selves. So how can you change your eating habits for the long term, as a kind of a lifestyle change? And I believe that is very, very important for you to change the story that you tell yourself. So that would be the first thing, to change the story. Most people tell me, Angelica, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to stop eating junk food. I want to lose weight, but I don't want to stop eating ice cream. I want to lose weight, but I don't want to stop eating pasta or cheese or chocolate, whatever it is, right? Or, I've done all this diet, like for 3 months, but then I couldn't wait, to eat all the stuff that I used to eat before. That is not a sustainable way to change a habit. It's very important that we change the story that we tell ourselves about why we're changing that habit, right? So let's say, for instance, if you were tackling, changing your eating habits, and you're talking about, I want to change my eating habits, but I don't want to stop eating chocolate. If you change the story, saying, I want to change my eating habits, and changing the fact that I eat chocolate all the time, you really benefit me, because I'll get to the weight that I want to get to, and I'll feel happier with myself and with my body. So that is a different story. You're not it's not something that you're forcing, I need to do this, but you're really giving yourself a different perspective in the whole scenario here, right? As opposed to just kind of shoving it down a diet that you really resent after a few days, a few weeks, and after, doing it for a while. And this is why you go back to your old way. So changing the story that you tell yourself is very, very important. All the time that you tell yourself, I want to do this, but I don't want to stop drinking alcohol. I don't want to stop eating cheese. I don't want to stop eating junk. How are you ever going to stop eating those things while you deep down, you're actually telling yourself, in actual fact, I don't want to stop eating chocolate. I don't want to stop eating junk. This is in the actual fact, the story that you're telling yourself. Therefore, you will keep, feeling the way you're feeling physically, because the change is not going to be long lasting. So change the story, and that requires you to be really honest with yourself, right? Let's say, for instance, if you have a sugar addiction, which many people are facing these days, right? Like, I want to stop my sugar addiction because I feel much better when I'm not eating sugar. As opposed to I need to stop my sugar addiction because, I really need to do that, right now, overnight, from one day to another, and I need to do this. Now that is so forceful. And that's also not really giving you what would be the benefit for you to stop eating the sugar, in the long term. You need to really start thinking about what is the story that you're going to tell yourself that is really going to anchor yourself in the changing of those eating habits. Now, we all know that when you don't eat a food that it's high in fat and sugar and processed and, in junk food, we all feel better about it, right? But the thing is, how can we keep that thought and that story consistent in our lives? So really changing the story that you tell yourself is really, really important. Sometimes it's even very powerful for you to write things down, so you understand exactly, what it is, the real reason why you're not doing it. Sometimes people think like, I want to change my eating habits, but I feel I'm going to miss out when I go to parties. If I don't eat sugar, if I don't eat, cheese or salami or drink alcohol, I feel I'm going to miss out. You can be telling yourself a different story. I feel that I miss out when I go to the beach and I have to put on a bikini and present my body in front of everybody. Because in actual fact, I don't do that. Because I'm too ashamed to doing that. Sometimes, being honest with ourselves, it can hurt ourselves. But, sometimes that's important for us to really anchor ourselves in what we really want to do. That's a different story, because you're missing out on things that you want to do, but you don't have the courage to do because the way that you feel around your body. Right? And I'm going to tell, a part of my story was very much that, when I started changing my eating habits, I didn't fluff around this story that I was telling myself. I had stage 3 bowel cancer. The story that I told myself is, if I don't change my eating habits, the cancer is going to come back and I'm going to die. As simple as that. It wasn't like, oh yeah, but I really like salami and cheese and beer and wine and chocolate and, and all of these things that I've been eating. That story didn't serve me. That story wasn't going to anchor me on a long-lasting change. So it's really telling a story that is going to benefit your changing in whatever habit you're wanting to change, right? The next thing that it's really important is to stop setting conditions around it. When you start stopping setting conditions, my question to you will be, do you really want it? Right? Like people say like, oh, I want to become a millionaire, but I just want to work 2 hours a day. Well, that doesn't happen to anyone. It has never happened to anyone. Why would it happen to you? You've got to be real about it, right? I want to get fit, but I don't want to exercise. Well, that doesn't happen to anyone either. I want to get, in shape, but I don't want to stop eating all this junk and crap that I eat. That just doesn't happen to anyone. You've got to really think about it. Setting those conditions are not benefiting you. And again, you need to be honest and real with yourself. You need to ask yourself, do I really want this? Because, when you ask yourself that question, if you really want it, you're prepared to do whatever it takes. You really are, because you will do it. Again, for me, it was very much like, do you want to live or die? I was prepared to do whatever it took. And this is why, as a result of that, I changed all my physical and emotional habits. And there was some emotional stuff that was really, really difficult for me, around forgiveness, around letting go of anger and resentment. That was really, really hard. But I had to stop, setting those conditions, I'm going to forgive that person if they change. That doesn't quite work like that. The only thing I'm in control of is myself. I'm not in control of anything else. So I would be asking yourself that question. If you're setting some conditions around it, do you really want to make that change? And thirdly, I would say tackle one thing at a time. Especially if you've been struggling with whatever the habit that you're trying to change. Sometimes, it's easier to start with an easier habit and you build up into a more difficult habit that you're trying to break into. But if you go from the 0 to 100 approach, and you expect your body and mind to just follow you in this overnight change, again, I'm yet to see people that have done that. People, perhaps they are focusing on their physical health first, and then they focus on their emotional health, then they focus on their professional life. If you start overwhelming with everything, you're most likely going to fail. Because our bodies and mind, they need time to adjust to the new habits as well. So guys, I really hope this is helpful to you. If you are an entrepreneur that is tired and exhausted, I really feel that this is important in our process for you to follow when you're trying to change your physical and emotional habits. Everything that we do and think and feel, it is a habit. Like my anger addiction was a habit. Even though it wasn't something that I was doing it physically, the chemical hormones were being generated by my body as an addiction because I had been doing that for so long. The stress was the same thing. If you are in that space and you want to change your physical and emotional habits and you want to have a chat, there is a link below that you can book a call and can have a chat to see, if I can help you. And if you like this video, feel free to share this with somebody that needs to listen to this message. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next video. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.